Morning. We're on the house build today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Tyvek house wrap, home wrap. This stuff, my dad's a builder. A lot of my family are builders. And I know a pretty good network of builders in the Pacific Northwest. And this stuff is good stuff. It's been getting used for years, probably since, I would say, mid-90s at least. Don't quote me, might be a little early on that. But the way we always used it is we just tacked it on the wall as we were framing, and that got used for a water barrier. In case your siding were to leak, you had a water barrier, basically like a tarp. But the prize and possession about this stuff, what they claim, is that it, over time, kicks out water, allows vapor to go out, but doesn't allow water to go in. And that's why it makes such a good protector and insurance on the side of your house. Now, I was reading about Tyvek, because I finally broke down and read the paperwork, and you can use it as an air barrier on the exterior as well. And so our state in particular now wants us to have an air test done on our building envelope when we get done building. That's part of your final. So I was reading about this Tyvek, and apparently if you seal the bottom to the concrete foundation, you seal all your seams with a sticky tape, and then you put a bead of caulk at the top plate of your wall, you have a sealed wall at that point for air to not come in. My big question is, okay, well, we're gonna put siding on, and there's gonna be siding nail protrusion all over the place. Well, I looked up that, and the Tyvek engineers say that is taken into consideration. The Tyvek itself isn't to completely block air, it just helps the building envelope seal off and ups your efficiency of your home by not letting so much air through your walls. So it is an air blocker and a water blocker. And what I found interesting on this that I wanted to show everybody is the other morning when I come out. So I'll explain something else real quick here. As you can tell, my house has no windows right now. All the windows are covered up with Tyvek. And I did that on purpose, because when my house was framed, it was November, and it was just pouring down rain as we were building the house. And I didn't frame the house. I had a guy frame it. A really good source. This guy frames a lot of houses. He's been doing it his whole life. He knows what he's doing. And so I'll show you the other side of the house here. But he was framing in the wintertime, and it was just getting dumped on with rain. Well, then the trusses got landed on the framing package, and they're ready to be stood up. Well, then we were dealing with ice. So the house basically sat out in the water for a month. And my idea is, if I take this Tyvek and I just run it over the top of the windows, and I seal all the seams with tape, and then I put a fan over the crawl space access, that's going to take air from the crawl space, pull it through my vents on my stem wall, and pump air into the house. And then I'll put a heater in there and a dehumidifier. So now I have 2 commercial sized dehumidifiers in there, 2 heaters, and a huge fan that pulls air from the crawl space into the house and pumps it. I have the house so sealed off right now The only way air can go through is out those windows and into that paper, and it's inflating it like a balloon, and air is traveling underneath the paper and drying out the outside of my plywood. And that's why I went right over the windows. I had a lot of friends tell me that I needed to install the windows, but I purposely didn't want to install the windows yet. I just covered them up with Tyvek, and I'm pumping air underneath the paper, out the window, underneath the paper, and it's drying the outsides of the plywood sheathing, and it's working really good. And that's the main thing I wanted to show people that they can do with this Tyvek when you have a wet envelope. If you're building in the wintertime, run it right over your windows. Don't waste time cutting out your windows. Just get everything sealed up. Take it all the way up to your soffit. And I'll show you my soffit out here. These are raised energy heel trusses, so they give the insulation enough room to land on top of the wall plate. And I really like them. That's the first time I've used them, but I really like them. And then they have a flat soffit, and that's just 24 inches, so it's easy to install soffit. But I took that Tyvek and I ran it up tight to the fascia, and then just taped everything up good. And like you see, it's like a balloon. When you press on this, it wants to come right back out. And on the inside of that Tyvek, I came out here the other morning and I had driplets. Just tons of water condensation driplets on the inside of that Tyvek. And that's because that building material was so wet that it was sweating. I had a little bit of heat and running those dehumidifiers in there. It's 76% humidity in the house right now, and that's gonna keep going down as the house dries out. It's probably gonna take about a week. But it's a good way to dry out your build if you're having the same type of problem. And then once the envelope's completely dry, I'll go along and I'll seal up the bottom of that Tyvek to the concrete like it should be. But I want the plywood to be dry first. I want the air to move out the bottom of that until that's all dry. And then I'll seal that up to the concrete, and that'll protect from bugs. My wife hates bugs, but that'll protect from bugs, and it'll keep the air seal on our whole build down, because I have a bead of caulk at the top plate of that wall, which is right, for those of you who don't know where the top plate is, it's right up there. All the way down, there's a bead of caulk. And that seals the paper to the wall. And then the lid in the house is gonna get something different. I'll do another video on that down the road. I've been following our builder a little bit, how he's doing air barriers on the interior. There's a material you can use. So I'm thinking I'll use that, and I'll glue it to the top plate on the inside. And then between the two, I should have enough.